Nobody warned you about this. Not your doctor, not your therapist, not anyone who ever sat across from you and told you to push through it or think positive. Nobody told you that the pain living in your chest, the tightness lodged in your shoulders, the exhaustion that sleeps with you every single night, none of it is random. None of it is bad luck. None of it is simply getting older. What if the body you have been fighting, criticizing, medicating, and ignoring for years has actually been trying to reach you this entire time? What if every symptom, every ache, every mysterious illness is not your body breaking down, but your body breaking through, desperately attempting to hand you a message you have refused to read? Carl Jung spent decades in the darkest corridors of the human psyche. He sat with people others had given up on. He listened to dreams, traced symbols, mapped the unconscious. And in the middle of all that darkness, he discovered something so luminous, so devastating in its simplicity, that it rewrote everything we thought we knew about illness, healing, and the human soul. He discovered that your body does not get sick by accident. He discovered that the body keeps a record, not of your victories, not of your achievements, but of every emotion you were too afraid to feel, every truth you were too exhausted to speak, every wound you buried so deep you forgot it was there. And he discovered something else, something that will stay with you long after this video ends. He discovered that the same body that stored all that pain can release it, not through surgery, not through silence, but through something so ancient and so forgotten that when you first hear it, some part of you will resist it completely. And that resistance? That is exactly how you will know it is true. Stay with this, because what comes next may be the most important thing you have ever heard about your own body. Carl Jung, while exploring the profound depths of human nature, experienced a revelation that would permanently alter millions of lives. When he observed people struggling with physical ailments and chronic suffering over many years, he noticed a pattern so consistent it was impossible to dismiss. Every physical discomfort that emerged in the body had a direct, traceable connection to specific emotional patterns concealed in the shadowed corners of the mind. But the truly revolutionary discovery was not simply identifying this connection. The real miracle was what came after. While lost in contemplation about the human capacity for self-restoration, Jung experienced an awakening that shook him to his foundation. If suppressed darkness and destructive emotions could generate illness within the body, then compassionate and loving words directed precisely toward each organ could reverse that damage. It sounded almost too elementary to be true, nearly impossible in its gentleness. Yet Carl Jung decided to put this extraordinary potential of the human soul to the test. He began speaking directly to his own body. When relentless anxiety consumed him, he spoke to his stomach. When fear compressed his heart, he had an honest conversation with it. He addressed every single cell within himself as though it were a conscious being that had been patiently waiting to feel seen and genuinely loved. And what unfolded next was nothing short of breathtaking. His body began responding to this voice. In that moment, Jung recognized humanity's most catastrophic mistake. Your body is a living, wise presence that listens with absolute attention to every thought you generate, every emotion you experience, and it has been waiting with infinite patience for you to speak to it with love. If what you just heard landed somewhere deep inside you, drop 777 in the comments right now. Then tell us, which part of your body have you been ignoring the longest? The approach Carl Jung developed carried a force as shattering as its simplicity. He called it conscious dialogue with the body. This method required a direct and honest confrontation with the precise part of the body that needed restoration. This was not meditation. This was not visualization. This was a real, voiced, authentic conversation with your own flesh, saturated with unconditional love. According to Jung's teaching, you needed to place your hand directly over the area that ached or suffered and approach it with the same tenderness you would offer a terrified child lost in the dark. With boundless understanding and absolute forgiveness, you could say to it, "I see you. I completely love and accept you. I sincerely apologize for judging you so mercilessly all this time. I am fully here now to bring you healing." According to Jung, every single organ in your body had been carrying the emotional weight of feelings you spent years running from, sweeping beneath the surface of your awareness. Your liver was bearing the rage you swallowed whole, the fury that never found a safe passage out. Your lungs were sheltering the profound grief you concealed from everyone, the heaviness you refused to let anyone witness. Your muscles were clenching around the fears you could not confess even to yourself. And your body was simply waiting for you to finally hear those buried feelings and to release the crushing weight it had been carrying on your behalf. The most vital truth Jung uncovered was this: your body forgives you instantly. The very moment you speak to it with love and tenderness, every cell initiates the process of renewal. Love heals immediately. Because love is the most natural frequency of life itself. Yet Jung always emphasized that this dialogue needed to be deeply personal and uniquely specific. Reciting memorized phrases like a mechanical ritual would accomplish nothing. You had to courageously name the precise emotion that had generated the symptom. For instance, if you suffered from chronic back pain, Jung would guide you to ask your back this exact question: what emotional burden have you been carrying on my behalf all this time? Once you drew that emotion out of the darkness and gave it a name, you needed to deliver a direct message of liberation to that part of your body. You might whisper to your back, "My dear back, for years you carried my terror of being completely alone in this world and receiving no support. I now release you from this heavy responsibility. I am reclaiming the strength to stand on my own feet. I thank you from the depths of my soul for protecting me until today." Jung was absolutely insistent that this conversation had to involve physical contact, your hand resting on that precise location. That moment of compassionate touch sent a profound signal of safety directly into the nervous system. Your body needed to feel that you had finally arrived, that you had finally noticed it, that you were loving it without conditions or requirements. He would say that practicing this conscious dialogue for even 3 minutes daily could begin reversing the trajectory of illnesses that had calcified over years. Because your body is rebuilding itself at every single moment, and when you transform the emotional message you send to it, you fundamentally alter the instructions your cells receive for restructuring themselves. There is something Carl Jung said that modern psychology has never quite known what to do with. He said that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent. He meant that the emotional experiences your parents could not process, could not name, could not safely feel, those did not simply disappear. They were passed forward. They took up residence in the nervous system of the child. They became the anxiety that wakes you at 3 a.m. with no identifiable cause. They became the tightness in your jaw. They became the autoimmune condition that arrived seemingly from nowhere. The body becomes the archive. And unlike the conscious mind, it does not forget. It holds the record with absolute fidelity, waiting for you to finally be brave enough to open the file. Jung spent years developing what he described as active imagination, a practice in which you would enter into genuine, sustained dialogue, not just with your physical body, but with the deeper, symbolic figures your unconscious used to communicate. He discovered that the body would sometimes speak not through pain or illness alone, but through images, through dreams, through the sudden and inexplicable appearance of certain emotions that seemed to belong to no specific memory. He taught his patients to sit quietly, to close their eyes, and to ask the pain directly, "If you were a figure standing in front of me right now, what would you look like? What would you be wearing? What would the expression on your face tell me?" And then, and this was the part that required the most courage, to actually listen to them answer. Not to dismiss it as mere imagination, not to reduce it to metaphor, but to treat that inner figure with the same respectful attention you would offer any person who had traveled a very long distance to bring you an urgent and irreplaceable message. Because that is precisely what it was. The pain was not your enemy delivering punishment. It was your oldest friend delivering truth. Carl Jung developed another powerful complementary method that dramatically amplified the impact of body dialogue: mirror work. He had noticed something that stunned him. Many people could whisper loving words to their internal organs, but the moment they stood before a mirror and looked into their own eyes, attempting to offer that same love to their entire existence, they froze completely. This resistance revealed precisely where the internal blockage was hiding. Jung's mirror work was direct and profoundly unsettling. You would stand before the mirror, look straight into the very center of your own eyes, and speak a sentence of unconditional love using your own name. "I completely love and accept you exactly as you are, with every right and every wrong, every wound and every gift." It appeared effortless to say, but Jung understood precisely how devastating a confrontation this actually was. The majority of people who attempted this for the first time dissolved into tears before completing the sentence, or their gaze would flee from their own reflection. Jung explained this with devastating clarity, because in that moment they were facing years of self-criticism, years of rejecting their own appearance, years of confronting the merciless internal voices they had been whispering to themselves in silence. The mirror concealed nothing about how you had been treating yourself on the inside. Jung would combine mirror work with body dialogue into a single, unified practice. Standing before the mirror, placing your hand on each part of your body, meeting your own gaze and speaking to it with love. Touching your stomach and saying, "I love you exactly as you are. I sincerely apologize for judging you harshly. You are absolutely perfect for me." Jung would say that the body functions like a masterfully designed communication network. Every ache was a private letter indicating precisely which area of your life required your compassionate attention. According to Jung, stiff knees and chronic knee pain reflected a fear of moving forward in life, or the inflexibility one maintains in the face of necessary change. Problems with vision reflected the realities you refused to see, the truths you actively avoided confronting. He transformed this extraordinary connection between mind and body into a remarkably practical guide. He documented in meticulous detail the emotional roots of hundreds of distinct physical conditions, and the unconscious intention sentences that would initiate their healing. For example, the emotional source of liver problems was long-standing rage and deep resentment. The healing sentence was, "I now release everything that no longer serves me. My heart is clean and weightless. I am living in genuine peace." But Jung always offered one essential warning. These were only a compass, not unchangeable laws. Every person had to confront the unique riddle of their own body personally. What mattered most was learning to hear which language your body was using to speak to you. Because no one could know the precise weight of the emotional burden you carried better than you could. This is also why Jung insisted that healing could never be reduced to technique alone. Technique without genuine feeling was an empty shell. You could repeat the most perfectly constructed sentence 1,000 times and produce nothing. If the words did not arise from a place of authentic longing, authentic remorse, authentic love. The body was not fooled by performance. It had spent years absorbing the difference between the face you showed the world and the truth you carried in the dark. It knew, and it would only begin to release its stored suffering when it felt unmistakably that the love being offered to it was real. Drop 528 in the comments if you just felt something shift inside you reading this. Then share with us, what emotion do you think your body has been storing in silence? One of the most transformative approaches Jung ever developed was what he called liberating forgiveness, and he believed it was absolutely essential for genuine, lasting healing. According to Jung, if you carried resentment toward anyone in your heart, complete physical restoration was simply impossible. Forgiveness was not a reward you granted to the person who had wronged you. It was a freedom pass you were giving to your own soul and your own body. The method he taught began with writing the name of the person who had wounded you on a piece of paper. Then you would place your hand over your heart and speak these words aloud. "I completely forgive you, and I set you free. You are free, and I am free. The dark bond between us is now severed. Between us there is only peace." Jung would say that even if that person was no longer living, even if you would never encounter them again in this lifetime, this confrontation absolutely had to be performed. Forgiveness was the untangling of an energetic knot. Physical presence was never required. What mattered was that you finally set down the emotional weight your body had been hauling on your behalf, sometimes for decades. Jung always said that healing was never a single-day miracle. It was a process that unfolded layer by layer. He compared this process to peeling an onion. Beneath every layer you forgave, an older, deeper wound would surface, one that had been quietly waiting for its own moment of attention. But every layer you cleared gave your body more room to breathe and restored more of your vital life energy. Jung himself admitted that he continuously practiced these forgiveness rituals throughout his own life, not because he was fragile or unhealed, but because life placed fresh opportunities before us every single day. New moments requiring us to consciously choose between love and resentment. Even a small disagreement was an opportunity, right there in that instant, to choose forgiveness. He called this preventive forgiveness. Every evening before he laid his head on the pillow, he would review all the small irritations and disappointments he had accumulated throughout the day. And before sleeping, he would forgive every single one of them and clear his mind entirely. According to Jung, this nightly clearing prevented those small frustrations from accumulating and transforming into physical illness years later. Emotionally sweeping your house every evening was like waking up each morning with an immaculate soul. Your body, already laboring beneath old burdens, would feel profound gratitude when no new weight was added each day. If this idea of nightly forgiveness feels like something you need, leave 11 in the comments. Then tell us, who is the first person that came to your mind just now? Jung dedicated the deepest and most powerful portion of his work to inner child healing. The inner child was the part of you still carrying, still bleeding from, every emotional wound that was torn open during your childhood. Jung's approach to this confrontation was one that made the heart ache with recognition. He would ask you to find a photograph of yourself as a child, ideally between the ages of 3 and 7. You would hold that photograph between your hands, look into the uncertain, searching eyes of that small child, and become the loving, protective adult that child had desperately needed, but never fully received. You would speak to them directly. Jung would tell you to say to that small child, "I am so deeply sorry that no one was able to protect you the way you deserved. I am sorry they did not shield you from those experiences. I am sorry you were forced to carry burdens far too large for such small shoulders, and that you had to be strong when you were still so impossibly young. I am sorry they made you feel insufficient and unworthy. But look, I am here now. I have grown up, and I am standing right beside you. I will never leave you alone again. I love you without conditions, and no matter what happens, I will stand behind you like a mountain that cannot be moved." According to Jung, this conversation was especially necessary in moments when you found yourself responding to present-day situations with reactions that seemed disproportionate. Rage that flared too large, fear that consumed too much. Because those outsized emotional storms were not coming from your adult self. They were the screams of your inner child, the part of you that remembered an old wound and recognized its echo in the present moment. wrapping that child in genuine compassion would immediately calm the alarm-sounding nervous system your body had been locked in for years. Drop 33 in the comments if speaking to your inner child just cracked something open inside you. And then tell us, what would you most want to say to the child you once were? Jung had developed specific unconscious intentions and affirmations designed to penetrate the darkest chambers of the mind and radiate extraordinary health throughout the body. But he was absolutely precise about one thing. It was never enough for these words to merely pass through your thinking mind. Those words needed to vibrate in every single cell of your body. They needed to be genuinely, fully felt. The most fundamental and most powerful intention sentence he ever taught was also the most unadorned. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am right now. But everything depended entirely on how you said it. You would stand before the mirror, place your hand over your heart, and speak this sentence while actually feeling that love flowing from the deepest part of your existence, flowing toward your own being. Jung would explain that the human mind had spent decades being programmed by poisonous whispers. You are not enough. Something is wrong with you. You must change before you deserve to be loved. These toxic beliefs had now been inscribed into the very cells. Uprooting them required that powerful, authentic new messages, charged with genuine emotion, be planted persistently into the mind. Another potent intention he used for physical restoration was this: my body knows exactly how to heal itself. I trust the profound wisdom of my body completely. Every single cell is working in perfect harmony to offer me extraordinary health. While speaking these words, you would place your hands directly on the area that needed healing and consciously send a wave of love to those cells. Jung emphasized that these sentences needed to be tailored precisely to your specific condition. If you were experiencing stomach or digestive difficulties, your sentence should be, I easily digest and accept all the events and challenges of my life. Life flows through me with effortless harmony. If you were experiencing shortness of breath or lung difficulties, your sentence was, I draw life into myself fully and fearlessly. I completely deserve to live life freely and with absolute wholeness. These sentences always needed to be constructed in the present tense, as though they were occurring in this precise moment. You do not say, I will heal. You say, I am healing right now in this very second. Because the unconscious obeys words of certainty, not future tense uncertainty. All the power lives in claiming your healing fully right now. Jung had also taught something else, adding advance gratitude to these intentions. After stating your intention, you would immediately follow it with, and I am grateful with my whole heart for this extraordinary healing that is taking place in my body right now. Feeling gratitude instantly elevates your emotional frequency to its peak and sends your body the signal that this healing is already a lived reality. Carl Jung had designed a daily practice he called the Wholeness Healing Circle, one that distilled every one of these profound methods into a single, unified process. Practiced every day with genuine devotion for 20 minutes, it was a formula that had generated what people could only describe as miracles. It was beautifully simple, but practiced with loving discipline, it carried a precision against which no illness could stand. The circle began with 3 minutes of gratitude toward the body. You would sit in stillness, close your eyes, and enter a posture of thankfulness for this body that had served you so faithfully. Your heart beating without ever being asked, your breath moving in and out, the warm current of blood traveling steadily through your veins. These first 3 minutes created the precise emotional atmosphere needed to convince your body that healing was safe and welcome. Then came 5 minutes of direct body dialogue, placing your hands with genuine tenderness over the area that hurt, entering into honest conversation with it, asking what emotional burden it had been carrying, listening with courage to the answer that rose from within, and making your body a promise that you would personally face that emotion now. The next 5 minutes were devoted to standing before the mirror and speaking your intention sentences, looking into the very depths of your own eyes, never allowing your gaze to escape, speaking those intentions to your own face with absolute conviction. The fourth phase was 5 minutes of active forgiveness practice. You would bring to mind everyone who weighed upon you and, first and foremost, yourself. For each one, you would place your hand over your heart and speak aloud, "I completely forgive you and set you free. I am now removing this weight from my body." Even if the genuine feeling of forgiveness had not yet arrived, speaking the words with persistence would begin opening that blocked passage. Each day of repetition, the words transformed into genuine feeling. And then you would experience the sensation, light as a bird, that authentic forgiveness delivers. The final 2 minutes were devoted to mental creation. You would visualize yourself completely healed, standing tall, luminous, overflowing with vital energy, feeling yourself doing the things you love most, engaging all your senses completely. Jung would always seal this wholeness healing circle with these words, spoken with quiet and absolute certainty. And so it is. My healing is complete right now. I surrender to the wisdom of my body. In my world, everything is exactly as it should be, and everything is safe. Then you would open your eyes and move through your day knowing, with a deep and settled peace, that the healing seeds you had planted were already taking root. Carl Jung left us an inheritance beyond all measure. That inheritance was this: your body is not your enemy. It is not a machine to be forced into compliance. It is not a battlefield to be conquered and controlled. It is your most faithful companion, one that has been straining every single second to keep you alive, quietly absorbing your pain without complaint. And it has been waiting with extraordinary patience, simply for you to stop criticizing it and begin wrapping it in the compassion it has always deserved. Every ache in your body, every illness, every mysterious symptom that medicine cannot fully explain. None of it is punishment. None of it is failure. All of it is an invitation, a deeply personal invitation to know yourself more profoundly, to love yourself more completely, to finally become the wholeness you were born to carry. You have been at war with your body for long enough. You have criticized it, neglected it, pushed it past its limits, and asked it to perform without ever once pausing to ask how it was doing. Today, right now, in this very moment, that ends. Today is the day you sign a new agreement with your body. Not a conditional promise. Not, I will love you when you are fixed. But an unconditional, unshakable covenant. I am here. I see you. I am grateful for you. And I am not going anywhere. Place your right hand gently over your heart right now. Feel that steady, tireless rhythm pressing against your palm. That heartbeat that has never once abandoned you. Not in your darkest moments, not in your most broken seasons, not even when you had completely forgotten to be grateful for it. And whisper to it, out loud if you can bear it. Thank you for never giving up on me. I love you. And together, we are going to heal. Because as Carl Jung understood with a depth that still reverberates across time, the moment true and lasting healing begins is not in a hospital room. It is not in a prescription. It is not somewhere out in the future, waiting for conditions to be perfect. It is here. It is now. It is the moment you stop running from your own body and finally, gently, come home to it. That moment is this one, and it has been waiting for you with infinite patience all along. This is why Carl Jung philosophy exists, not to hand you information you can file away and forget, but to walk beside you, one teaching at a time, as you learn to hear the voice your own body has never stopped raising. If this journey moved something inside you today, if Carl Jung's vision opened a window in your world, subscribe to Carl Jung philosophy and walk this path with us. And in the comments below, tell us, which sentence from today landed deepest in your heart? Your body is listening right now to every word you are about to write. What will you say to it? Thought of the day. Your body has never lied to you. Every ache, every tightness, every sleepless night was never a malfunction. It was a message. The only question was whether you were ready to listen. Carl Jung believed that the moment you stop treating your body as something to be fixed and start treating it as someone to be heard, everything changes. Not gradually, not eventually, immediately. Because the body does not operate on your schedule. It operates on truth. And truth, the moment it is finally acknowledged, begins to move. So today, before you reach for anything outside yourself, before the next appointment, the next diagnosis, the next attempt to silence what your body is saying, try something radical. Place your hand over the part of you that hurts and simply ask, "What have you been trying to tell me?" Then be still enough to hear the answer. Healing does not begin in a clinic. It begins in that silence. It begins the moment you decide that your body deserves the same compassion you have spent a lifetime offering to everyone else. You are not broken. You are unheard. And that is something only you can change. Carl Jung. Philosophy